We are back to the couch, but don't worry, the previous video setup will come very soon because I have something quite different to unbox. So maybe next week, so stay tuned for that. But in this week of news comes this device, the Nintendo Switch. And the reason it's in the news in 2020 and 2021, believe it or not, this device was the highest selling in the year 2020 and 2021, with regards at least to this model, the highest selling year of this device, and this is quite an old device, was 2020. And it's not the first year of its release, not the second, not the third, not the fourth. I think it's the fifth year of this device's lifetime, and it's the most selling. So what did Nintendo do? They released a new version of this Nintendo Switch, an OLED version. The only or the most major difference between this Nintendo Switch and the newest Nintendo Switch is the OLED screen. And people were kind of disappointed by that because they thought they would get a next gen high refresh rate, maybe 4K gaming device, but they instead get a Nintendo Switch, basically the same thing, but with a better screen and a larger screen as well. And well, companies in Japan do things quite differently because they're pretty quiet with regards to their devices before they actually release them. And they actually did something strange and responded to rumors that there is another Nintendo Switch coming. Nintendo Switch Pro, people are calling it. And there isn't one, according to Nintendo, because this is what they have. People are imagining this device, when docked, can output 120 frames per second 4K experiences, but that's ridiculous because if this tiny thing can do that, why do we have these massive boxes that are the Xbox and the PlayStation 5? It's very, very difficult to fit all that power in such a small factor, and this thing is targeting people who game at home casually for these party games and lighter non-demanding games. But OLED will produce better colors for these low resolutions, and it's pretty much very much welcome for the Nintendo community, and they knew that. But the major expectation from some people made them respond to two rumors. One is the higher profit margin reported by people, and that's false, and that there is no plans to release any other version of the Switch. So if you want to get a Switch, this is the Switch you get. And it's a very smart business strategy to capitalize on a time where most people were stuck at home and wanted something casual to play with friends, something easy, something that could switch between being a console and a handheld device, and that's this device. Okay, so the other piece of news is Duolingo. I'm pretty much certain you've played around with this app, or you've seen this app that teaches you a new language. And I obviously talk two languages, and I've been taught a third one, which was French before. And I downloaded this app years ago to try and relearn what I forgot in the French language. And today I've seen this article saying that Duolingo will go public, and it's seeking an evaluation for over $3 billion. And I was interested to see what's the history behind the app. Apparently, it was a couple of people, a programmer, doctor in the university, and his PhD student, a lecturer and his student, who made this app. And now, apparently, it could be worth up to $3.41 billion. You could see how when you introduce a niche thing, when you are the first to do a thing, I'm sure there are many alternative apps that do the same thing, but they will not be valued as much. If you're the first to do something, chances are, if you do it good, you will become the known person or known company or entity to do that thing. And Duolingo apparently is very successful. $3.41 billion, that's not nothing, it's a lot of money. And apparently there are 40 million monthly users learning 40 languages, including some languages that are learned more as a second language than as a first language, including Irish and Hawaiian. Wow, it's the number one app in that category in both the Google Play Store and the Apple Store. And it was founded in 2011, 10 years ago. And wow, Duolingo, an app worth billions of dollars. We've seen that with apps that change the status for something like messaging in WhatsApp or streaming in Netflix or YouTube video on demand. But now it's a language learning app that is worth so much. Maybe the next big thing is education based. And wow, what else can I say? That's a lot of money. And the final piece of news I want to talk about is rumors regarding the iPhone 13. I can't believe that my iPhone 12 is almost a year old now. I mean, in 4 months, but 3 months. But recent rumors are indicating that the new iPhone will get a better screen, a better refresh rate, a better Pro Motion display, as Apple calls it on the iPad. And that thing will enable something similar to what's happening in the Apple Watch, and always on display. So what would happen is the refresh rate, how many times the screen refreshes in a second, will be reduced to 1 hertz, 1 time every second, with low brightness, and then it would display the time and notifications permanently on the screen. And that's a welcome feature. Very, very welcome feature when you have any feature coming to your phone. And aside from the camera and the small tidbits changing, you can see that whenever a phone is improving, it's improving very slightly every year. And that's evidenced by this thing being supported for the 7th year. So I think this iPhone 6S is the longest supported phone by Apple ever. 7 years, which would be insane. The thing is still working with the latest iOS version. I use it for it's basically an iPod at this point, but it still survives, and that's one big advantage of buying a brand new iPhone or an old one, is it has that software support for so long. And maybe you get excited by this LTPO and added support. So if you buy an iPhone 13, how long would it last for? If it lasts for 7 years and you buy it in 2021, it means you'll have to change it in 2028. Wow. Anyway, if you enjoyed this week's video, we're back to the couch. Stay tuned for next week's video, because it will be back to the set, the studio I created, to unbox a new thing. So stay tuned and have a wonderful week.